our series on belly dancing with the silk veil. Today we are going to be learning how to do a trick that I call juggling, because it's kind of like you're juggling the veil from one side to the other. If you've never worked with veil before, you might want to check out my primer video on veil, short and sweet tutorial on how to hold the veil and whatnot if you have never done it before. If you are ready, let's give it a go. So let's set up the veil behind us. Let's make sure it's even on both sides, and we're talking about, right, scissoring this veil is how we hold it, never with the thumb. So we've scissored the veil here, and we are ready to rock and roll. So this first juggle we are going to do is in front of us. So I want you to bring the veil in front of you, and what we are going to do is on one side, by circling our arm from front to back in a circle up towards the ceiling, we're going to toss this veil onto one shoulder. Easy peasy, right? So now part of this veil is behind you, the other part's in front of you, and it's draped over your shoulder. So go ahead and take that off by reversing your arm movement, and we'll do the same thing on the left side. Left arm circles up and around towards the mirror, towards behind you, and you are catching it on your left shoulder, or your right if you're mirroring me. So let's do that again. Up onto the first shoulder, take it off, onto the second shoulder, take it off. Excellent. So let me do that now, facing away from you. So we're doing it all the same way. We'll do right and then left. So right shoulder, take it off, left shoulder, take it off. Excellent. So now the trick comes when we start to switch from side to side. So essentially what we're going to be doing is starting on one shoulder with the veil draped on our right, let's say, and as we take it off the right, we're going to bring it onto the left. So both arms are going up and over and around, and we are juggling our veil from one side to the other, up, over, and around, up, over, and around. So, a couple of tricks. We talked briefly in that primer video about the importance of the wrist, right? So your wrist is going to be what tosses the veil in the air. Never do you want to feel like you are muscling your veil to do what you want it to do, because it will not behave the way you want it to if you force it, right? It's kind of like an angry 3-year-old, right? So treat it with gentle, loving care, and it will do what you want it to do. You want to think about lofting the veil up into the air, and then generally just sort of letting it float back down to where it's going to go. So that's the case in this movement. You're going to toss it up, loft it up, and let it drape onto your shoulder. Then the other thing is, the more we can move and dance with our veil, and the less we kind of fling our veil around like we are doing some sort of weird magic trick, the more interesting it'll look, the more beautiful it will be, and the easier the moves will be. So when I do this juggle in front of me, I lunge slightly to the side that I am juggling to. So if I'm juggling onto my right, I'm going to lunge slightly to my right. When I juggle to my left, you'll notice I switch my weight and I lunge ever so slightly to the left. So then when I start switching sides and I go right and left and right and left, my body is helping the veil get to where it's going. And then I am also positioning myself right where I need to be so that that veil will land on my shoulder most of the time, right? So from the front, here's our juggle side to side with our little lunge. I'm going up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. Once I really get it going, the veil doesn't really land for very long. It does touch my upper arm before I then loft it over to the other side. But were I to stop, it lands on my shoulder again. The movement I'm making with my arms, without the veil, if it's helpful to see, is kind of a circular. It's sort of like I'm making 2 infinity signs with both hands that are in tandem with one another. So it's kind of like they stay equal distance apart, plus or minus, as I'm going side to side, right? Using that body side to side to create that juggle. Yeah? So let's try that again with the veil in front of us. So I'm going to set my veil up again here. I almost always do it this way. Bring it around. Make sure it's about even. Here we go. We're going to juggle side to side. Let me show that to you facing the other way. So there's definitely an element of behind me. My arm is lofting up and over. my wrists are active, and my arm is coming behind me. If you see me from the side, my arm is going to make it behind me to really pull that veil up and over. That way, if I want to do a fancy turn or something with it, it will land on my shoulder, right? Because it's getting enough momentum to end up slightly behind me. So part of the veil is behind me, part of the veil is in front of me, and it will land onto my arm. So that little turn I just did, let's put together this juggle into a little turn to create a combination. So we're going to juggle to our right, to our left, to our right, and then we're going to turn to the left. Just a nice flat turn to the left, walking yourself around. And then we'll reverse that. We'll juggle to the left, to the right, to the left, and turn to the left. Because of the momentum of our turn, the veil should land right on your shoulder, right where you need it to be, and stay there for the duration of your turn. If you find that it's slipping off or doing something strange, you might be turning the wrong way. So let's check this out again. We're going to go right, left, right, and turn. Then we can go left and right and left and turn. Right, left, right, turn. One more time. Left, right, left, and turn. Thank you for joining me to learn the forward juggle, and we'll have more veil tips and tricks for you next week, so stay tuned.